Hey, everybody. We're so excited that you are able to join us today for this Zoom series. This series will be taking place every Thursday at 1 p.m. We will have a new industry professional every single week. And today we're super excited to have Shane with us. So before we get started, I just want to go over a couple of things. First of all, you guys are all muted for safety reasons. But if you have a question, you can put it in the chat feature and we will be sure to get your questions answered at the end of the Q&A session. So we look forward to hearing your questions. And Shane, if you don't mind just sharing a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I own a company called Premier Productions, and we produce tours, festivals, conferences, cruises. I mean, you name it, just about everything in the live event space, conferences, nearly 700 of those a year around the world. So 60 employees in several states, and but I'm based here in Coleman. We have a big Nashville office that's our largest office now, and it's only been open about 4 years, which is crazy how fast it grew. But yeah, we're live event producers. I also manage 6 different artists. So if you know much about the music industry, you have concert promoters, you have managers, you have booking agents, record label executives, a little bit of everything. Well, I manage artists and as well own a live event company.
Very cool. Thank you for that. Could you tell us a little bit with your career? What are some of your day-to-day activities? What does it look like to be Shane Quick?
Oh wow, that's changed a lot over the years. 20 years ago, I would have been way more involved in certain aspects, but as the team grows, I'm not nearly as involved in the details. I'm more of a dreamer, more of an idea guy. That's always kind of been I guess, my contribution, to the company. But on a daily basis, I'm tracking record sales. How well is a song doing? How many people are listening to a song or looking for the next band, routing tours. We, a certain band will tell us, hey, we want to come to America, in May, and we're willing to stay for 6 weeks, and then, you know, get us as many shows as you possibly can in 6 weeks, and so we're routing the tours, we're calling the venues, getting the tickets ready to go on sale. And, it really depends on which aspect you're talking about. But if I'm managing an artist, I manage everything in regards to that artist's career. Um, there's really nothing that we're not touching when it comes to a manager role. So we're helping them choose songs to go on their record, or helping them get in a studio to record a song, or set up a co-write, set up a writing session, you name it. But it's all aspects. Managing an artist is all aspects of the music industry, and so that's very fun. Been doing that about 4 years now. I manage 6 different artists, and Carrie Job is an artist I manage. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of her. She's got a really, really big song out right now, and managed comedians, and I've managed just about you name it. So this new band called We the Kingdom that I found out of Nashville, that has #1 song right now in the country, called Holy Water. Really great band out of there. So there's when an artist has the live aspect of their career where they're doing concerts. They also have the record and the recording part of their career where they're making music and recording music. And then we're working radio stations, trying to get radio stations to play their music, getting them on Spotify playlists. A lot of you guys, any of you guys listen to any playlist on Spotify? Yeah, if you do, I mean, there's an actual job to getting that on there. There's an actual campaign to get some of these playlists to add your artist. And when you do, millions of people could be hearing that song for the first time, because there's a lot of people in the Spotify world that just simply listen to playlists. So they'll turn the playlist on and all day long, and a lot of people have their favorite playlist. So there's a big part there. We're getting iTunes to feature songs, put them on that top sliding bar screen that you guys see. So it's there's a lot that goes into managing an artist, and there's a lot that goes into producing live concerts like Rock the South or a Hillsong tour or you name it. But the thing that I've probably always been best at is just finding the new artist and helping develop them and get them started, get them rolling. I was able to find a band called Casting Crowns back in the day, in about the year 2000, which most of the people on this computer right now probably weren't born yet. But we were doing that, and there's been a lot of bands since then. So I've been super blessed to be able to get find bands super early and invest in them and get them a platform so they can do what they do.
I mean, it sounds like you do something different every single day. That's got to keep you on your toes for sure.
It does. I love that part of this job, honestly. It's always something new, and it's exciting for me. I love new things. I that is kind of my thing. I like a new project, and um, artists always have a new record. They have a new song. They have a new concert, or a new tour that they're doing. And so, yeah, I do have a job where I literally get to come to work every week, and it's always different, and there's always a new obstacle, but yeah, it's exciting.
Very cool. Well, so you've told us about what you do, what your career is. Can you tell us a little bit about the path you took to get to where you are now? What did that look like?
Yeah. um that's it's different for everybody, right? I'm guessing most of the people on this call are still in high school.
Yes.
Yeah. So getting an education is obviously number one. You have to, finish what you started. And for some of you guys, college is going to be a big part of it. College wasn't my route. There was really, I went to work after high school, and started saving money so I could book my first band. College was not really in my future. I didn't have the kind of setup at home, and didn't make the kind of grades in high school like I should have to get a scholarship. But to be a concert promoter, the main thing you need is relationships and money. And I didn't have either one after high school, but I started saving my money and putting money back. I was able to save up $5,000, which to me back in 1999 and 2000, that was a lot of money. And I was able to save that money, and I was able to book a brand new band and bring them to Birmingham. They had one song on the radio. But before that, I had gone to Nashville so many times. I took so many people out to lunch, picked so many people's brains, made friends. I always tell my employees, uh, the majority of the time people work with you because they like you. They want to work with you, and that's a big part. Being likable is massively important. And so I would go buy people's lunches, and I would just get to know them and tell them why I wanted to get into the music business. And my I had a tragedy in my life when I was 15 years old. My brother got killed. He was just out of high school. He was super young, and but his life was changed at a concert right before he got killed. And at 15 years old, I knew what I wanted to do with my life. And but people resonated with that. I would go to Nashville. I'd take managers out to lunch, and I'd tell them my story. I'd tell them I'm from Hanceville, Alabama, and I don't have much to my name. I don't have a college degree, but I really want to get into this. I want to work hard. And I'll take your new bands. I'll take anything you've got. I'll start from the bottom in the concert business. And I did. And I could afford one band in one concert on one day. And it was January 31st, 2002. And that brand new band doing their very first concert was a band called Casting Crowns. And the rest is really history for me, because that band exploded. They sold, 15 million records since then, but they stayed loyal to me, and I've toured with them all over the world. And We just did the very biggest tour in the history of Christian music this about 5 months ago with Casting Crowns, Hillsong, and a band called Elevation from Charlotte, North Carolina. And it was just special to be there and do that with that band, the band that helped me get started, the band that stayed loyal to me. Um, but there was so much work that went into it. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew exactly where I wanted to go. And that's a big thing. A lot of people, they'll go through college and they'll get into their 30s and they still don't know what they want to do. They still haven't made their mind up on choosing a career path. But that is so important, because if you're just wandering through life and you're not going to be doing the work, you're not going to be putting the time in and the research and the relationship building that you should be doing once you've decided exactly what you want to do. And it's just making that choice. So I knew 15 years old, I wanted to be in the music industry. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know anybody in that business, but I started doing the work. I started driving to Nashville, reading books, buying, watching, YouTube videos on people who do what I do or what I want to do, and learned everything there was to know about it. And I'm still learning to this day, 20 years into this business. But my route wasn't like a lot of people. I didn't have a wealthy parent. I didn't know anyone in the business. Um, but I did go work for free a lot. I interned every time I could, worked for free, learned, absorbed. And then I took my very first chance, and I was blessed enough that my first chance paid off. And we sold out on that one show that I booked with Casting Crowns. We sold out 2 shows in one day. The first show sold out in no time. We put the second show up. It sold out in a couple of days. And in one concert, in one day, I made more money on that one show than I would make at the job that I had in a whole year. And it just kind of blown away. I was able to take that money, get my business started. And so I had enough money to buy one show. After the first show, I could buy 5 shows. I bought those 5 shows, sold them out, and now we're doing 700 concerts, 600 to 700 concerts a year all over the world. And it's just grown from there, and an incredible team of people who are super smart, way smarter than I am. But we've built something really cool, and we're excited about the future. Even in a pandemic, even when people can't go to a concert, we know it's going to be over, and we know that when it is, people are going to want to get together again. They're going to want to go see their favorite band, be in a crowd, and get back to life.
I love your testimony. I think it's so amazing for these students to be able to hear that. I mean, you just really worked hard. I mean, that's what you did. And so,
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what it takes. Even if you don't know what you want to be, explore now different
Yeah,
career opportunities and figure that
totally.
out. So,
No question.
yeah. Okay. So, next question. I think you already touched on this a little bit, but what is the best part about your career and why?
Um, the people, no question. You know, the manager of Hillsong is, he was my best man in my wedding, and like just the friendships that you make. But look, the thing that I love the most is people get their lives changed at our show, and they come in and they leave different, and they leave with a big investment in their life, and that's special. It's the big thing. I get to do what I'm called to do. I get to wake up and do the thing that I'm good at and I was created to do. The natural talent that I have. I get to do that. Um, I know there's a lot of people that I always say this, there's some people who the thing they love to do is fish, or they love to go hunting, or they love to whatever hobby, and they don't get to make a living doing their hobby. Very few people get to do that. If you love to play golf, very few people get paid to play golf. Um, but I am very, very blessed that I literally get to wake up and do the thing that if I didn't get paid to do this work, I would still do it because I love it. I'm just so blessed that I actually get to pay my bills and put my kids through school, with the money that I make from my hobby and from the thing that I love to do. And I tell people all the time, a lot of people have to work and make a living to afford to go do the thing they love, versus getting to do the thing they love for a living. But I'm blessed that way. I love my job. I've never felt like I get up and go to work because this isn't work for me. I love this job. So that's a big thing. The people, the new people that I get to meet, the places I get to go. We do tours in South Africa and Korea and, all over South America and you name it. I fly about 200,000 miles a year around the world. And, it's always something new every day. There's a lot of reasons why I love my job, but those are just a few.
So, and you may have already talked about this as well too, but what would you consider to be your biggest accomplishment if you haven't already mentioned it? And how did you make it happen?
Oh, wow. Um, my biggest accomplishment. Wow, that's a great question. Um, Man, it would probably be that first show. The first show. I took every dime that I had. Um, it was, now, like I said, now we do 700 shows a year. Um, but the first one where if it didn't go right, if that first show didn't go right, I wouldn't have ever got to do it again, probably. You
That's
know,
amazing.
and I was able to pick the right band first. And they had a huge song that was exploding. I made that call to the agent before anybody else did, and I picked my moment to make my move. To go after it and give it a shot. And I give God all the credit for it, but I do believe that in that moment I took a huge leap of faith, and it just paid off. And you know, we still get to do that. I want to put up that much faith every year. I want to do something I've never done before and take chances like that every year, every day. But in that moment, it was probably hardest because it was everything. It was my life savings. It took me years to get that. Um, so I would say that very first concert was probably my greatest accomplishment, just simply because it was the first big leap of faith that I ever took, and it paid off.
That's so awesome to hear. And that's hard for us to do sometimes, but you're right. It can be a huge payoff if we'll just put our faith where it needs to be. So
Yeah, no doubt about it.
so I love asking adults this question. I think so many times students do not realize how many opportunities are actually available. So the question is, what careers have you discovered as an adult that you had no clue existed when you were in high school?
Yeah, that's a great question. I didn't know much about any of the work that I do now. I didn't realize that there was a whole industry of people who produced concerts, or I didn't realize there was a profession of managing artists. I didn't know much of anything. I knew at 15 I wanted to be around this business. I knew at 15 that I wanted to be around music and I wanted to be around concerts, you know. Um, because I was always a concert goer, whether it be country music, Christian music, hip hop music, you name it. I just loved being in a concert. I knew I wanted to be around that. And sometimes that's just enough, You don't have to know that there's all these different paths. But what do you love naturally? What do you think about? What do you enjoy? I would say this, that in 2020, there's never, more and more people are working for themselves. The industrial revolution is over, and if there's something you want to do or make or sing or whatever, there's just so many opportunities out there. And I would say let that be your first thing. What's something that you naturally enjoy, and go after that, and you will learn every day. Oh wow, there's actually people who get paid to do that work. um, but I did know pretty early I wanted to be around it. So, but at one time that looked like, um, I was in a garage band. It looked like I was doing little concerts at my high school. It looked different than it looks now, but I was starting. I was doing it. I was taking my very first step toward actually doing it. And so that's a big part of it. Find what you love and go to work. Think about it. Draw it up. We did little concerts. Are most people on this video local? They live around here?
We've sent it out to teachers that we work with all across the US. So it
Okay.
just depends on who logged on today.
Yeah. So, we had, I was able to rent out like little 75 seat, community centers. And we had little local shows, would charge $3 to get in. The Cast and Crown show was not my very first concert. It was my very first professional concert. But there were so many things we did in between that. So find out what you naturally love, investigate in it, go after it, test it out, and it'll turn into a career. Very well could.
That is such good advice. I love your answer. So this is the last question, and then we're going to open it up to questions from the students. And so students, as you're thinking about questions, just type them into the chat feature that's on Zoom. If you're on your phone, you may have to click more to be able to get to the chat feature. But type your questions in, and we'll make sure that Shane will answer those. So last question from me is, what is something that you wish you would have learned at a younger age?
Oh, wow. Um, Hmm, That's a great question. Mostly everything that I've said, I would say. I mean, teamwork. You know that. Before I was 26, before that Cast and Crown show happened. And um, I would say this: that the whole idea of relationships, just understanding that having relationships um, is so incredibly important. Um, President Barack Obama said something a few years ago that kind of made some of the conservative people mad a little bit. And I personally hate politics, just so you know. But I thought he said something fairly brilliant. He said, if you've had any kind of success in your life, he says, you didn't do that by yourself. No one ever becomes success. There's a lot of people in business that like to say that they're a self-made millionaire, or they're self-made this, or they're self-made that. There's no such thing. Someone helped you get there. Someone pulled for you. Someone vouched for you. Someone freely taught you how to do your job or invested in you. No one gets there without help. You cannot accomplish any of the dreams and goals that you have without someone investing. I will guarantee that people on this chat are already being invested in by someone else. And so understanding that and building relationships, people will help you get to where you want to be. There's so many good people out there who want to see you succeed, but you're simply not going to get there alone, and people are going to need to help you get there. So be in the business of finding relationships, and find people who do what you want to do, and spend time with them. Or better yet, sometimes even it's just find people who are successful in any kind of way. Maybe they're a manager at a Starbucks. Well, there are, and if you're not a manager somewhere, they're already more successful than you are. How did they get there? What's the steps they took to be trusted enough to be a manager at a Starbucks or at a grocery store or whatever? You don't have to look around. You don't have to look too far to find people who could be a mentor to you and invest in you. So I would say the biggest thing that I wish I had learned early is that to build relationships and friendships. And when the time comes, when the right time comes for it's your turn, they'll put you up. They'll put you up to bat. And that happened for me. There were people who vouched for me. That very first concert, it sold out, did really well. I made a lot of mistakes, and I didn't get the catering right. I didn't feed the band on time. There wasn't enough food there. I made some mistakes, but the agent back in Nashville who sold me the show liked me a whole lot. And he told the band, he said, "Hey, I'll make sure he never does that again. And I'm going to tell him what he needs to do." So they gave me another chance. And that changed my life. That changed my career. But I had someone stick up for me and vouch for me. But relationships. You're never gonna get there alone. You're gonna get there because people are gonna help you get there.
So we have some really good questions coming in. The first one says, can you get noticed by recording from home and by promoting yourself on social media? What tips would you have for an independent artist trying to do this?
Definitely from home. I mean, we So there's a big song right now by an artist I manage named Carrie Job, and she got on YouTube about 4 weeks ago and put the song up on YouTube. The song's called "The Blessing," and she was at a church in Charlotte called Elevation. She wrote the song that week, and then they got up on stage and did the song, and it's just a video, and they put it on YouTube, and it went viral. I mean, Justin Bieber was found through YouTube. So many artists are getting discovered that way. SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook. Here's the reality. Right now, labels are labels are interested in people who are already winning at home. Like if you live in a small town USA and you haven't been able to win those people over yet, then a label's never going to give you a chance to try to win over the whole country or the whole world. So build your own fan base. Maybe it's your community or your school. Get your own fan base going. Get people listening to you locally. Get your next door neighbors interested in it. And start small and work your way out. And it'll go viral. If you got what it takes, then for me, I wanted to be in a band in the very beginning. I told you guys I was in a garage band, but then when I realized I just wanted to be around it, and so and I would be content with that. I wanted to be a professional drummer and on stage with John Mayer or Dave Matthews Band. I would have died to have a job like that. But now I get to be the guy stage left, watching the bands walk up the steps, and I knew that I helped sell that show out, and that's good enough. That's great for me. But starting, if you want to be a singer, go, but I would say this: take constructive criticism. You don't just listen to what your mother says about your voice. She's going to love your voice. She'll never have anything negative to say about your voice. But unfortunately, your mother can't buy a million records when it's time for you to put your record out there. So take constructive criticism, go after it, start small. The good news is every one of you guys have TikTok or Instagram or Twitter, whatever. I mean, put it out there. And if it's good enough, people will tell you that and they'll like it. If they don't like it, you may realize you need to get better at singing or, play guitar or do like I do, manage or be around it. But yes, 100%, it's start local, get local people loving what you do, and that'll be good enough.
So this is a good question too. Was there a moment in your life where you felt like you had failed and you were fearful about not coming back from that? And how did you overcome it?
That's a great question. Um, you know, everybody has anxiety. Everyone has fear. There were many times. Yeah, there were many times. My career hung in the balance after that very first concert when I got the catering wrong and didn't do some things right. And there was about a 2 or 3 week period of time before I knew if Casting Crowns was going to work with me again, and they did. But I've lost a lot of money on shows before. Even right now in the middle, we canceled a country music festival that we own called Rock the South. We canceled it today because of the pandemic. We can't do a festival with 65,000 people in a small town, knowing that there's the pandemic could be still here this summer. There'll be a lot of people worried, and so we got to come back next year. I'm gonna launch it back in 2021. Yeah, but no question, there's been times where I thought I may have messed up or got in over my head, added too much to my plate, you know. But I have a lot of drive in me, so when I felt like that, I just didn't give up. I went and tried to fix the mistakes and get it right and put the time in, to get it on path.
So we have two more questions. This one says, how do you go about selecting the bands that you promote? Do you have like a method or something that you look for?
That's a great question. I get that question a lot. I always say this is the one thing that you have to have. Well, there's a book. Write this down. There's a book called The Idea Hunter. It's a little 200-page book. The Idea Hunter. It's an incredible book. But one of the things is I love what I do. I'm interested in what I do. And I know tastemakers out there. I know there's a lot of people in my life that I trust their opinion. And I know that when they're listening to it, they're early. They're early to the game. There's also a book called The Tipping Point that everyone should read. It talks about why trends happen and why things go viral and why people are interested in the things that they're interested in. But I just have a good ear for new music. And but it comes from a heavy interest of the industry that I'm in. I think about it every day. This is not a 9 to 5 job for me. It's part of my life. And so I know where to look on YouTube, or I know when there's a program director at a radio station that plays music super early. And then, but now after doing it for 20 years and being trusted by record labels, record labels will call me and say, "Hey, we just found this new band. You need to listen to them. Tell us what you think about it," because they trust my ears. They trust what I believe. And so that that happened. There's a guy named Brad O'Donnell who runs Capitol Records in Nashville, and this new band, We the Kingdom. Hadn't checked them out yet. Check them out. They're really great. He said, "Look, you need to hear the band." So he hooked me up with the lead singer, and we hopped in a truck and drove through Nashville together, and he played the demo for me. And I'm blown away. I'm like, man, this is some of the best new music I've ever heard. And the guy at the label said, "I'm telling him he needs to let you manage him." And so we did. And now we have a #1 song right now in the country. And it's there's a lot of different ways to get it. But let me, if you want to remember anything that I said about that particular subject, it's having a heavy interest in what you're doing. It's paying attention. It's being involved. It's getting up every single day. I feel like most of the time where I've been more successful than others, it's only because I've put more time in. I worked, and this is my hobby. It's my love. It's one of the loves of my life. So no one has to beg me to get up every day and think about what could be next. I'm looking for it. It's simply having interest and looking for it, and you'll find it. But if you're not looking, I always give this example. I don't know how much time we have. I always give this example about shooting stars. And I always ask people, how many of you guys have seen a shooting star? Raise your hand if you've seen a shooting star in your lifetime. Raise your hand if you've seen, let's say, 200 shooting stars. You ever seen 200? Have you seen 200 shooting stars in your life? Most of the time, no. Do you realize that in the sky every single night, there's 10 shooting stars per hour? The thing that makes it rare, the thing that makes seeing a shooting star rare, is you only see it when you're looking up into the sky, which is not often. If you're looking in the sky when you're driving down the road, you're going to run off the road. But it's when you're looking for it. It's shooting stars are not rare at all. Nothing about it is rare. Great ideas are not rare. It's just when you're looking for it and paying attention. Most people will spend more time playing on their phones than looking and trying to find the next great idea, you know. Um, and so it's paying attention more than anything else.
That's awesome advice. So last question, we are running out of time, but I do want to get this in. So I know you had to cancel Rock the South today. You made that announcement, but I love the fact that you're turning it into an opportunity to give back. And so just from me following along with what you guys have done, it seems that giving back is a huge thing for
Yeah.
you. So my question is, what is your motivation for that? Like, where did that come from? Why do you find that so important to give back?
I started promoting shows because my brother got killed and his life was changed at a show. You know, um, there's, I want, with Rock the South, um, I knew there needed to be a country music festival in Alabama. That's common sense. Drive through Alabama and you look around, you can tell there needs to be country music festival in Alabama. Um, people around here like it, but I wanted to find a reason to do it because I believe that the greatest festivals kind of have a deeper meaning than just music. The things like Bonnaroo, it's kind of a lifestyle. Coachella, it's kind of a lifestyle. If you go to Coachella, you kind of identify with a lot of people who go to Coachella. If you come to Rock the South, you kind of identify with this kind of American way of life of people helping people. And that's what happened in 2011. Massive tornado outbreak came through Alabama, ruined a lot of lives. A lot of people got killed, a lot of cities destroyed, but the city rebounded the state rebounded overnight almost, it felt like. And we saw the best in people. We saw the best in humanity. Like right now with the pandemic, you're seeing what the nurses are doing. You're seeing what the medical profession world are doing. It's bringing out some of the greatest heroes of our generation in a hard time. I see people sometimes on Facebook, especially, which is kind of the National Enquirer of social media these days. But they say, yeah, if all heck breaks loose, I'm going to have my gun. I'm going to have this. I'm going to have that. Acting like, if this gets really bad, people are going to turn on each other. That's exactly what's not going to happen. People are going to help people. We saw it in 9/11 when the terrorists hit the towers in New York. We saw the best in humanity. In 2011 in Alabama, we saw the best in humanity. It inspired the festival for me. And so, as we're looking at this year, a lot of festivals are rescheduling. But for us, we're like, you know what? The storm's not over. So we don't want to celebrate yet. We want to celebrate when the storm's over. And that's going to be next year. It's not going to be right now. It's not going to be this summer. So we want to join the fight. We want to join the work. We want to put our efforts toward helping people, which is what the whole festival is based on, right? And so we decided to do all we can to get masks to the elderly and high risk. There's a lot of food banks here in our local community that are feeding people because there's a lot of people out of jobs. Um, so it kind of made the decision easy for us. No, we wanted to do the festival this year. We had Luke Combs, hottest artist in country music right now. Had Eric Church, a bunch of bands, and we sold a lot of tickets. I mean, millions of dollars worth of tickets are being refunded. And so believe you me, I would have loved to have done the show, but we would be going against what the whole show's about if we'd have done it this year because we're about helping each other. So the best thing we could do to help people this year is to not do the festival, put our efforts toward helping people locally, helping bring awareness to needs, and see you next year because we're going to throw one big, massive party in Coleman, Alabama next year because this will be gone. We'll be looking back at a time in our lives that was very fearful, something that we wondered if we could ever get through, but we're going to get through it. And when we do, we're going to celebrate it at Rock the South 2021. So that's kind of why we made that decision. In the response and the feedback from our fans right now, although they're bummed the show's not happening, they love it. We're getting incredible feedback right now from our people. And we're giving the fans an opportunity to donate their ticket money to these local charities, which is really, really cool. And we've had thousands of dollars already donated. So we'll be buying more masks and we'll be buying more food for the food banks. So that's it. That's a big part of Rock the South, and that's why we did that.
I love that so much. And Shane, I've enjoyed talking to you today. I think you've had some wonderful advice for these kids. And thank you. Thank you for your time. I know you're a busy man.
Guys,
We appreciate it.
yeah. See you soon.
See ya.
Bye bye.